In this video, we are comparing OnX Backcountry versus Gaia GPS. This is a longer video because I tested the apps out in the wild and also on the PC. So check below for the timestamps to jump ahead to the sections that you're interested in. The main things I was looking for is usability in the field, how accurate the maps are, route creation, and simplicity. So let's jump onto the trail and test these apps out. I have been a Gaia user for nearly a decade, and I just recently got OnX Backcountry a couple weeks ago when they had that screaming deal that they had. Now Gaia's been pretty good over the years, but there's some weird little quirks with it that have annoyed me, which now that I have OnX Backcountry, I want to see if those weird quirks are worth switching over to OnX or if it's better to stay with Gaia. But some of those weird quirks is the reason why I ended up getting a Garmin Epix Pro 2, because I couldn't rely on Gaia all of the time. When you pull up the two different apps, there's definitely some differences you can notice right away. Right here, I'm on OnX Backcountry, and the layout is pretty simplified. If you look at the layers, they only have a couple layers or base maps that you can use. So you have your topo, your hybrid, and then a satellite view. And then you can get other layers to show air quality, fires, snow, all sorts of stuff like that as well. Now, one of the problems I've had so far with OnX Backcountry is I was building out this route here, and I was looking for peaks on the map, and for whatever reason, the maps that they use don't seem to have the peak names, which is kind of weird. Makes it kind of hard to draw out a map when it doesn't recognize trails or peaks on the map. Now, if I switch over to Gaia, Gaia is quite a bit different because there's a lot more to the app, which makes it good, but if you're looking for a simple interface, can also make it very complicated really quickly. So if you go into the maps, you can get a ton of different maps. You can build out your own map packs, so there's not just preset ones in there that you can use. And right away, you can see that this route that I drew on this map doesn't have the peaks on it. But if I switch over to a different map pack, all of a sudden, now you can see all those peak names. So being able to switch to different maps, you're able to draw out your route a lot easier. So that is a plus for Gaia over OnX. We're going to keep hiking, and I'm going to compare the two maps as we go along to see if there's any other weird little quirks that I find. So this is an interesting difference between the two apps. There was a split in the trail there, and on Gaia, if I zoom in here, you can see the trail, and so it's on the map. You know that there's a trail there on the map. If I switch over to OnX, the only reason I know that there's a trail there is because I pre-built a trail before, but other than that, you don't see the split in the trail on the OnX map. Now let's try hybrid map, still nothing, and then the satellite, nothing. So this trail doesn't exist on OnX, even though this trail's been around for a very long time. But on Gaia, it is there. It is underneath my track. So that's very interesting. My watch also has the map on it, so it's nice having two maps that are matching up. But it's weird to me that OnX doesn't have as many trails on it, because I'm assuming they're all kind of using the same topos and whatnot. Man, if I just relied on onxbackcountry.com to try and pick my way over here, right where the volcanic neck is, since there's no trail marked on the map, I tried going along the left side, and the left side does not go. So that definitely slowed me down, and I had to backtrack and then make my way around the right side. Whereas Gaia showed me right on there that the trail goes to the right. So if I looked at Gaia first instead of OnX, I would have not had to backtrack. So that is... Right now, OnX is kind of letting me down. I like the simplicity of the app, but the maps aren't as good, which is kind of a bummer, because you see every freaking YouTuber out there, they're sponsored by OnX Backcountry, and so I would think that their product would be really good, but it looks like they spend more money on marketing than they do on making sure their maps are up to date with trails. Which brings me to today's sponsor, OnX Backcountry. No, I'm totally kidding. They're probably never going to sponsor me after this. Now, what's cool about both maps is they all have a 3D feature. So if you're out here and you want to see kind of the landscape, then you can go to the 3D feature, and then you can take a look and kind of see the features. Now, I think OnX Backcountry's, theirs is a little better. If I can remember how to do it. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah. So it's pretty nice, because then you can really see the contours and see what the landscape looks like. So definitely like that one. Gaia, let's try this again. I might not have the 3D map downloaded for Gaia. That is one nice thing about OnX, is it downloads all the maps, including the 3D, which is really cool. So maybe this is a one-off case for OnX Backcountry to not have the trails marked. So let's go back to the computer. We'll look at how you can operate Gaia and OnX Backcountry on the computer, and then we can look at some other areas to see if maybe the trails match up in other places, or maybe OnX Backcountry just doesn't have the same trail library as Gaia. So I'll see you back at the computer. I'm back at my computer, so let's take a look at the differences between OnX Backcountry and Gaia GPS, because maybe what I experienced in the field was a one-off situation. So the following week, we took a trip out to George Lake and Noble Knob in Washington, which you can see in this video up here. And on OnX Backcountry, as you can see, it's got the Noble Knob trailhead. It's got the Noble Knob Trail over here, and it goes all the way down to here. There's another split on the trail that goes off to Lost Lake. So that all looks pretty good. You also have a trail here that goes down to George Lake. However, where's the trail to Noble Knob itself? That's an interesting question. So let's see what Gaia says about that. So we jump over to Gaia. And again, we got the Noble Knob Trail, which takes us over to George Lake. So George Lake Trail, Noble Knob Trail. That continues all the way down, just like we saw on OnX Backcountry. But now, up at Noble Knob, look at that. There is the trail to Noble Knob all the way up. And in fact, this was like a little goat trail from the summit that we followed back down to George Lake. And even that is on Gaia GPS. And this is on the standard Gaia topo map. So why OnX Backcountry doesn't have any of those trails, I have no idea. But that is now 2 trips in a row where OnX Backcountry doesn't have the trails that we need or we're looking at for when we're out in the backcountry. Kind of ironic. So right now, that's 2 trips in 2 weeks that I am now questioning how accurate the maps are in OnX Backcountry and whether it is something that you should actually trust reliably if you're in the backcountry or not. Because if it doesn't have these simple trails on it, what else is it missing? And if you're relying on these apps to be able to figure out where you're going and how to get through sections, it's kind of a big deal for them to be updated and accurate. Now let's go into route planning, because I'm trying to figure out if there is a possible route between 2 different peaks for me to try and go and do this weekend. Let's first go on to OnX Backcountry. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to connect Mount Daniel over to Mount Hinman. And honestly, I haven't been able to find a whole lot online about ways to connect this. So this is an actual backcountry situation. When you look at it on a 2D map, it could very well be possible. It doesn't look that bad. So as we switch over to Gaia, we have Mount Daniel, Mount Hinman right here. On Gaia, I can see the contour lines are a little bit tighter than on OnX. But other than that, from this 2D view, it's not too bad. You're seeing the glaciers, you're seeing the stuff around it. Let's drop into 3D mode, because this is where we're going to really need to figure out what's going on here. So in 3D mode, if you use the right button on your mouse, you can adjust the 3D view, the tilt angle, and then left button, you can move the map around. So there's the summit, Mount Daniel. And what we want to do is we're going to see if there's a way to follow this ridge line all the way over, come down to Mount Hinman. So if you're just using the topo here, it doesn't look too bad. Now, one of the benefits of this is I can switch to a hybrid view. I can get a much better idea of what the actual landscape looks like. And if I start zooming in more, so I can actually see what some of this terrain looks like. There's situations like right in here where it could be very steep. It might not be doable to follow the ridgeline all the way over. Those are some of the questions that I have. And that's why I'm trying to look at this and trying to figure out how do I get through here. What's also cool is I can come back to the overlays and I can scroll down. If I'm wondering about those slope angles, there's a slope angle option. And right here, it gives you the detail. So it's kind of nice. So you can see what the different colors mean when you're looking at the map. So green is the lowest angle all the way up to blue, which is the highest angle. So looking at the same thing, I can see, okay, this part's blue and red, so it's pretty steep. This part's not too steep. Now all this stuff is looking pretty steep, so it might be really hard to scramble along that ridge like what I was thinking just by visually looking at it until I get to this point, and then from here it's kind of a walk up to the top of Hinman. Okay, that's where having easy layers where you can add them on so you can get more information comes in handy. And it's really nice to have those simplistic layers like that. And right on here on OnX, I can adjust the opacity and I can see the color code of the angles right there. So actually for backcountry use, that's a very simplistic way to look at things. And it does make it nice if you do want a simple platform to be able to try and pick out routes. So let's jump over to Gaia. So on Gaia also has 3D. Boom. I hit 3D. Same buttons, right trigger. I can adjust the tilt angle. Left button, I can move around. Okay. Topo, not giving me a whole lot of information. So I can add on world imagery map, which I think gives me more details than the satellite view. But this one doesn't have labels, so I just got to remember where it is. I can kind of see the labels because I'm leaving some of the Gaia topo on there, and you can see some of those lines on there, the contour lines. And I am actually getting a more visual of the rockiness of this route. Okay, so it looks pretty rocky. Now, I can't get all the way down to see, are these scrambleable rocks? Are these stuff that you have to bring rope and set anchors and try to climb? I'm not exactly sure. But what I can do is right here, I can click on slope angle. And now I have slope angle on this map as well. So at full opacity, it's a little too much. I don't like that. So I can turn it down. And then if you click right on here, then it gives you the slope angle. So yellow for their coding is the lowest angle all the way up to black, which is the highest angle. So looking at this route, same thing. Following the ridgeline looks very steep until you get to the base of the mountain, and then from there it looks like a walk up. Okay, perfect. And I have that world imagery map on there along with the topo contours as well. So I actually like the shading on OnX Backcountry better than the slope angle on the Gaia, but I like the satellite or the world imagery better on Gaia than I do on Backcountry because it seems to give me more detail. So now, instead, let's try something. I haven't tried this out, so I don't know what this is going to do. This is real time. Let's try to create a route. We'll see how this works because I've never done a route in 3D mode. So I'm curious what it's gonna do here. Okay, so this is already super weird. I might have to try and create the route in 2D and see what it does in 3D. But me just clicking around, it's put in the points not even close to where I want. So let's drop this back to 2D. Let's cancel, and then let's retry this again. So now we're in 2D view. Let's see what happens if I just follow this. Okay, let's see now if I can do 3D, if it actually render that in a 3D way. So that is actually pretty nice. So it's saying 1.7 miles, 1,300 feet up, 1,600 feet down. Now let's switch over to OnX Backcountry. Let's turn off the shading so I can see what I'm doing. We're in 3D mode, so let's see if I can create a route in 3D. Again, I have not tried this before, so we'll see if this works or not. So it seems like for both of them going above, trying to draw from above is the best way. But I'm trying to drop a point over here and it's not letting me. But at least I can kind of see it drawing in real view. So let's go ahead, we'll clear that route. Let's go to 2D. We're gonna do point draw. I don't quite remember how I did the route on the other one. This is just to see how the route actually is, or trying to create a route is on the desktop version of these maps. Okay, so we got that. It's saying 2.1 miles, 2,000 feet of gain, 2,500 feet of loss. If I hit 3D, it looks like it renders pretty good on 3D. The route creation seems to be pretty decent on both of them. And it looks like it is easier to do it in 2D mode than it is 3D. So let's go to a regular trail on OnX, and we'll do snap to. And we'll start here, and we'll see how well it does following the trail. And this is weird. So it's not really following the trail that's on the map here. As you can see, the red line's going off. But it does seem like it knows that there's a trail right here that takes you up and around Noble Knob. So why would it know that, but not show it on the map? That is interesting. Okay, so let's go back over here to Gaia GPS. We'll turn that off. We want just this. So see that OnX Backcountry basically followed this. It did follow this. However, it doesn't show it on the map unless I draw it out. Why? Why would you allow me to create a route that follows a trail that should be there, but it's not showing on the actual map, when it knows that there's a trail there, but it's not showing it on the map? All right. So Gaia, creating a route. Boom. We'll just start here. And look, Gaia actually follows the map pretty well. So you just click and it populates. Boom. And then boom. And then boom. Oh, that one's kind of interesting. That one did not follow. And now it is. So I guess me not clicking perfectly on it, wasn't too happy about it. So I kind of liked the fact that OnX was, you could see the line as you were drawing, so you don't click a point that's not on the actual trail. I do like that with Backcountry. I wish Gaia had that, actually. But Gaia is also, the route creation seems to have a different map that is following than the map that you get on your end. So that doesn't make sense to me. So I don't really know what to think about these two apps. I wish that they just came together and blended, because I love the simplicity of OnX Backcountry, but I love with Gaia how many different map features they have and how accurate their maps are compared to OnX Backcountry. I feel like OnX Backcountry's layout is easier to use, and Gaia's is kind of cluttered and slow. I think OnX Backcountry's map download feature is a lot smoother of a process than the Gaia GPS feature. And in fact, if I pulled up my Gaia GPS app right now and I go into the downloads, there's a lot of downloads that get stalled for whatever reason. And I don't know how to fix that. Now, the problems I've had with Gaia is I'll have these layers saved, and randomly when I'm out on the trail, all of a sudden the app will reset, and then all those layers that I had built and the opacity is all the way I wanted it to gets reset, and now I'm back to just one layer and I have to rebuild everything. But now they have the map packs, which has definitely helped me, but I don't know if all those layers are up to date with my downloads that I have on my phone. So when I'm offline, I don't know what I have downloaded and what I don't have downloaded. OnX Backcountry has this mode that you can click offline so you can see what the map will look like when you're in offline mode, which is nice. Gaia GPS, navigating around can be super slow and seems like it's processor intensive, whereas OnX Backcountry reacts a lot faster and I can move and look around a lot easier. I was really hoping, having these two apps side by side, that there would be a clear-cut winner for me. And with all the hype that I see on YouTube for OnX Backcountry, I thought for sure it would blow Gaia out of the water. But the fact that there's a lot of trails missing on it is a massive downside. And one feature I wish both apps had was a way to do a massive download for your state. Because right now I have the entire state of Washington downloaded for Gaia, which took forever because you have to break it down into all these sections because you can only download a certain size section. And then you're just hoping that you didn't miss a section. But I don't want to have to think about downloading portions of the state when I'm trying to go out and hike somewhere or backpack somewhere. I want to just have it ready to rock and roll, and then when I need to use my map, I can just pull it up whenever I want. So my conclusion is this: if you want a simple interface and you don't necessarily need it too much for backcountry navigation, I would say OnX Backcountry is totally fine. If you're someone that does a lot of backcountry recreation and you actually need more details and you need to have a lot more detailed layers, then I would go with Gaia GPS at this time. And for me, I just recently got OnX Backcountry because of the deal that they had. And with everyone promoting it on YouTube, I was thinking I was going to switch to it full time. But I honestly think I'm just going to go back to Gaia GPS because it's what I already know. And at least I know it has all the trails on there that I need in this area. This is not what I expected between the Gaia GPS and OnX Backcountry debate at all. So I'm a little surprised and shocked by it, as you can probably tell. But I would love to hear in the comments your experiences with both of these apps. And is there a different app I don't know about? Is there a better app? Let me know, because I'm not sold on Gaia GPS. I've had issues in the past with them, and I'm still looking for that perfect app, but I don't know if it actually exists. So if this video was helpful, hit the like, comment. You can subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in our next video.